Hey y'all, it's SpaceySimsMay. Welcome to my channel. Let's play some Sims. Today we're building a vacation home in Sulani, the island living world. I wanted to build it near community areas to make it easier and more convenient for your Sims, so I chose the 30 by 20 lot where the starter home lagoon look is. I didn't really know what I wanted for this build. All I really knew is that I wanted it to be limited packs and that I wanted it to be a family type vacation home with a splash park included somewhere. Studying the lot more, I had the idea of the house being built in the water, so I have a bigger space to work the splash park in, since I'm building the house around the idea of having an included splash park. I didn't really know how to lay out a floor plan for this shape of build, but I eventually got an idea of what I wanted, but it's going to make the furniture layout a bit tight in the bedrooms, which I do end up regretting slightly later on in this video. I started with doors, first the outside, then the inside doors. I picked sliding doors because I've never really used them. I thought they would look cool, but I do switch them out later on because I noticed some issues with them getting in the way of possible spots for furniture since the rooms are small. I also changed out the front door to the single island living door. I thought it looked better. And then I picked a double door from Island Living for the kitchen and living room. That's also where the dining room will be. I didn't want anything too fancy for the bathroom, so I just went with a regular two-panel door. Moving back outside, I'm trying to figure out what windows fit best. I kind of like the small windows, kind of don't, so I let them just sit for a bit, and I played around with a couple ideas. I even placed the rest of the windows around the build. Then I just decided to go against the small windows and replace them with the big ones, which I thought fit better, and I ended up liking them a lot more. And I think it brings in more natural lighting and makes the space feel bigger. I was going back and forth on whether I wanted the windows in the back or not. I just decided to go with the windows in the back. Moving on to the kitchen, I already knew I wanted white countertops to pop against the kind of medium brown wood tone I was thinking for the walls and flooring. I also went with white appliances too to make it filled in a bit more. Since it's a bigger kitchen, I put a tiny island. I also added a window in the very back. I thought it just made sense. I also swapped places of the stove and counter. It looked better to me. I thought there were too many windows at first, but I still like the more windows look. I also decided to add shelves. I thought about wrapping them around the entire kitchen, but I thought it would be too much, so I settled on just placing them in the very back where the stove and the refrigerator are. I took a break from the kitchen when I found this shelf thing. I got distracted with it and just wanted it somewhere. I tried where I wanted the living room, but it didn't fit, so I moved it to the hallway slash entrance. I'm more of a bounce around type builder where I don't really stay in one area until I get a feel of the room coming together. Then that's when I'll stay and actually finish it, unless I forget some little details. I'm sure there's other builders like that too. Anyway, I went ahead and picked out all of the basic island living furniture I wanted slash needed and placed it in the ideal place I wanted it in. I think the only other pack I want to use is Growing Together since I'm wanting a splash park. As you can see, I grabbed the wrong type of table because I wasn't reading it properly and I was just grabbing, but I eventually fix it. I'm also trying to add some decorations as I go to go ahead and fill in some place like tables for clutter items and some plants, some rugs, really anything I think fits the vibe I'm going for. I'm also starting to pick out the colors I'm going for to get that out of the way a little bit. I don't normally pick lights, but you'll see eventually I do pick pretty little candle lights because I'm just trying to fill in some space and go ahead and pick out the basics I need. I'm also trying to pick out outdoor items as well and just place them. Anything I think will fit the vibe, even though I don't stay out there for long. I'm also trying to find items I don't really use from Island Living, like this little fish decoration that I'm trying to work around. I do end up squeezing it in the little corner. I think that's a good spot. I'm still using the basics at the moment, filling it up, filling it around, trying to get an idea of what I want for the build. I'm placing some trash cans, some dividers for the kids' room, just little things to see if I can get a feel of the build since I didn't really have an idea in the beginning. I'm placing dressers, side tables, color matching again, pretty much anything I can do to get a vibe of the build since it's not really coming together yet for me, but when I do color match, it does come together a little bit more. I'm changing everything to that medium to wood tone I was talking about earlier. I'm pretty much just going from room to room right now. I do start placing the candles and the little lights I was talking about earlier too. Normally, I don't place lights until the end. I just like building that way, but I decided to go ahead and add them since I was already in the light area in the island living section. I'm also placing those wall lights I was talking about too. I think it brings the hallway together and gives it a little pop. I'm also changing the color of the lights too. I think I do miss one, but it's okay. I'll deal with it. I do remember this lamp, this round lamp from Island Living, and I placed it and I thought it looked pretty good. I'm also working with this growing together lamp, but I cannot fit it anywhere at all. So you just kind of see me pause in defeat. And I found this little lamp thing and I still can't fit anything anywhere. So I just kind of give up. I'm searching, but I've given up at this point and I move on. I moved from placing the base of everything since I kind of gave up and I started actually filling and decorating the rest of the build since I finally got a feel of what I wanted and it seemed like it was coming together a bit more. Here you can see I'm placing the toddler bed and I'm regretting my choices a little bit now, but I don't want to change anything because I like the smaller shape and I wanted to challenge myself a little bit to work with smaller rooms. This is also where I found out the sliding doors weren't going to work. I figured since it's a family home that a crib would be nice, but I just want to point out that I had a really hard time figuring out where I wanted this crib and probably cut out like 20 minutes of figuring it out where to put it. I even take a break and come back to the crib because I have no idea what was wrong with me, but I could not place it at the moment. So I just moved on to the kids' room and I was finding a little toy box to add, and I just went with the monster one and placed it. And then I breathed a little bit, and then I went back to the crib. I eventually figured out what the problem was, which was the dresser. I'm trying to place a crib in a little space in a skinny room with a dresser, and I realized I just had to forget about it and just delete it and place the crib where the dresser was. It does leave the crib at a weird angle, but it also leaves walk space for your Sims to get back to the bed. After I finally found a place for the crib, I can move on to things like a computer and stuff, but first I wanted to see if I can find a smaller dresser and I couldn't. So I moved on to things like a computer and pictures and different little decorations and activities for your Sims. Just some filler decorations or permanent decorations to just add something to the bedrooms and the rooms in general because they're looking a little bland right now. I was also indecisive about the color of the bed because I thought I didn't like it at first, but I ended up liking it. So I just placed a rug. And then I placed a bookshelf in the hallway because I thought it added a nice little touch. And then I jumped to the living room and started working on that after I placed a TV because I noticed I haven't done anything with it yet besides the couch and the table. So I added a table for clutter and a vase. And then I jumped to the kids' room adding cute little bear statues. One has a palm tree and one is a pirate theme, I'm pretty sure, which I thought went great with this build because it's Sulani. I also added a rug and a wall decal to bring in some more color. I also sized it up because I thought it looked better that way. Then I placed some curtains and then I took a break from the inside and went outside. While I was outside, I took a minute to kind of just move stuff around and stare at it a little bit and kind of get an idea of what I wanted for the outside. And then I kind of just went for it. I started making my little sandy pathway. I wanted a straight line pathway, a little bit darker sand than what I had to make it look simple and nice, not too showy. Then the idea of not having a foundation was bothering me, so I went ahead and picked out a foundation, even though it wasn't the right color yet, a foundation. Then I picked out the color of the windows to match better. And while I was doing that, I was like, I might as well pick out the color of the walls too to get a better feel of the build. So I did that as well. And I thought I wanted a darker tone, but then the lighter tone made the darker colors pop to me more. And then I went around and just changed the foundation to that darker color too, so it can pop along with the windows. And then after I picked the foundation, I went back and changed the front door to that darker tone so it can pop along with the windows too. I thought I wanted to change the color of the curtains, but then I like the darker curtains anyway. So next I wanted to add a small porch so you can walk up to it to get to the front door. So that's what I'm working on now. I didn't want a big porch. I just wanted that space between the front door and the steps. So maybe you can place a grill or some kind of activity or something job wise for your sim that is needed. It's not a very big space, so you can only place like a one tile object on there, but it is just a little extra space to give you that break between the front door and the steps. Next is roofing. This is always a challenge for me, and I think it's a challenge for a lot of people. It's because it's a lot of pieces, it's a lot of spacing, it's a lot of twisting and turning to get it smooth. It's also a lot harder when you don't know what you want for a roof yet. Like you're kind of just winging it as you're going, and that's what I'm doing. So it's taking a bit longer because I don't know what I want for the roof. But as you can see, it's kind of coming together. I kind of wanted a more lower roof to match the small build. I didn't want anything too fancy or to take away from the small build. I didn't want the roof to be the wow factor, pretty much. I just wanted a simple roof, which was pretty hard to achieve with this type of build because it was a small, kind of weird shaped build, and I've never worked with this shape of build before. But I kind of liked working with this shape because it gave me more practice on working on roofing. So it does take me a minute to get it, but I do eventually get it. After roofing, I tried to pick a roof color, but I wasn't sure. So I just let it sit there. I kind of picked this metal roof color and just let it sit there. The whole entire time I let it sit there, I just didn't like it. I even tried to place columns and work on the porch, but I just gave up and eventually went back to the roof because I couldn't get it off my mind. I didn't know what I wanted still. I was going back and forth between a lighter color and a darker color because I didn't know which would make the build pop more. So you kind of just see me go back and forth between light, dark, and then I found this dark, dark one, and I thought it worked way better than any option I had before. While I was picking the roof color, I thought about a dormer and I thought how nice that would look because I remember I think the starter home that was here before this build had a dormer. So I wanted to add a dormer to kind of match that vibe too. I also went back to the darker tone wood just to see if I liked it better than the lighter tone, and I didn't. I like the lighter tone way better. Now I'm working on the fun part, which is the splash part. I'm kind of just picking out the concrete I want. I'm using terrain paint so I can manipulate it a little bit more. I kind of want to make it look a little bit more lived in, walked on. I also didn't want a dark concrete, so I picked the base game Pebbles concrete, and I thought that went really well with it. The exact name is called Pebbles Please, and I covered almost half of the lot with it. I wanted it very neat, so I took my time placing it. I even replaced it a couple times because the lines were off. Once I got done with that and I felt like it was okay, I started finding the exact sand that was placed on the lot, that was already on the lot. And I decided to add a light cover of it onto the pebbles to make it look walked on slash lived in, to make it look more realistic. After placing that, I moved on to the actual fun park, which is making the actual splash park. I had no idea how I wanted it to look, running theme of the video. I just wanted it colorful and to have a bunch of splash pads and splash emitters, and I wanted it to look slightly busy. I tried a bunch of different colors and shapes, and I found that the rounder shaped ones fit better with the vibe I was going for. Then, when I was done placing them, I started placing the splash emitters. I started out with the mushrooms. I'm just placing different colors. I'm not sure if they're gonna stay those colors or not, but for now, I'll just let them sit there and I'll move on. just for now. I think I want to get more of it done before I finalize the colors and things. Since the mushrooms are the centerpiece of the build, I decided to surround it with little basic emitters to have more busyness going on. Now I'm just placing small splash emitters on the other splash pads and more decorations around it, like a whale. I think it's fitting since the lot is near the ocean, and then I remembered the flowers and the leaf sculptures, and I thought they would look cute at the center of the small circle splash pad, and I surrounded it with the basic splash emitters to still have something fun going on at the sculptures too. I feel like at the moment it was pretty much done. I decided to change the colors of the emitters to blend them in with the splash pad. I thought the two teardrop shaped splash pads with the circle emitters were looking empty, so I added another one on the pointy part of each of them. It makes it look a little busier to me. I think I want to call the splash part done, other than me going back and forth on what color I want the well. So I think I'm going to move on to the rest of the yard. I'm starting with the pathway because I feel like it could be blended in a little bit more. Once that was done, I went straight into debug to see what they have and to find some plants, some trees, and other outside decorations to fill the yard with. I did find some palm trees of different sizes. I kind of just placed them wherever they look better to me. I love how they have a variety of palm trees in The Sims. It gives your build a more realistic look in my opinion, because palm trees, plants in general, never really look the same. I'm done rambling about plants. Back to what I'm doing. I'm pretty sure I'm just finding random trees and greenery and finding a place, and then I'm like, yeah, that works. That looks good. I'm pretty sure I take every selection of plant and tree from Island Living besides the colorful ones and just place them everywhere because I wanted the lot to be busy and look full. I then decided maybe some lava stone rocks would look good down the sand pathway I made, but then I stared at it for a bit. Then I thought it might be too much since there's already so much going on around the yard. I also noticed some glitching where the stone goes in the sand, so I had to just keep adjusting it, and it was honestly just too much. I know, since I want it to look busy, but I just deleted it and tried to find something else. I found these really small rocks in debug, and there were a couple different options with them. I thought they looked way better. It was a lot simpler and gave the pathway a nice touch. I just placed them in random spots along the path and even grouped some together to fill some spots in more. After I'd done that, I bounced back to placing plants. I'm kind of like everywhere creating the yard because I didn't really know what I wanted. Again, running theme for this video. So I was just placing what I thought looked good until I got a better idea of what I wanted it to look like fully. I found this little starfish in debug and I decided to make a starfish community out of it. So I used all the different colored starfish, different sizes. I sized them up, sized them down. I thought it turned out really, really cute. I began working on this little corner, trying to find different little items and debugs to fill it in. I found some greenery to fill in the gaps between the rocks, and I found a fishing net as well, and I raised it up a little bit and put it against the rocks, like on top of one of the rocks. I wanted something with a pop of color since there's a bunch of vibrant fun colors on the other side of the yard. I found this balloon thing. I didn't know if I wanted one or two, but when I saw two, I thought it looked a little busy, even though I wanted it to look busy. So I changed it to this green little turtle and I thought it looked really cute. I'm back to exploring debug to find items to fill in the yard more and to see if there's anything I can use that I haven't used before. I was literally just grabbing random items that caught my eye and moved them around the yard to see if it would work. Most of them didn't because they were the size of half the lot. I kept scrolling until I found these flower twisty thingies. They're in debug and I thought they would look beautiful around the columns on the front porch. I chose yellow to pop against the lot and I thought it was a beautiful choice. Then I adjusted the flower thingies so they didn't look the same because it is the same copy of flower thingies, just different colors. I liked all yellow, but then I decided to try out white and I liked it better. So I did switch out the yellow for the white. I was just going back and forth whether I wanted it in the inner or the outer columns. I did switch out the inner columns because I thought it looked better, and I adjusted the thingies again because it is the same copy of thingy, just a different color. So I just adjusted them until they didn't look the same anymore. Once I was done with that, I went back to exploring debug to see if I could find anything else since I did find those flowers. So it was back to grabbing random items and seeing if they fit in the yard. Again, European. Most of them didn't until I found this sign. It fit the lot. It was colorful. It was pretty. I just couldn't find a way to use it. I tried changing the color. I tried everything I could. I even tried turning it into a banner. You'll see me take it up to the porch and it just doesn't work out. I didn't really like it, but after that, I did get the idea to plant some plants that were harvestable. I wanted specifically island living plants. So I was finding some coconut trees to plant along the pathway. And then I wanted a pineapple somewhere. I didn't know where to put the pineapple, but I decided around the corner where the starfish and the balloon are. I know it looks like dirt patches right now, but it will grow into full grown plants whenever you start playing in it. As you play in the lot each day, it'll grow. I don't remember exactly how long it takes plants to grow, but they will grow into full plants you can harvest. At this point, I'm pretty much done besides a couple touches I want to add. So now I'm just changing the name to what I want and changing the lot from residential to vacation home. I also chose some lot traits which were sunny aspect and natural well. At this point, I think I'm pretty much done. I just start adding my finishing touches, which were some outside lighting for nighttime activities with the family. I placed some around the pathway and I eventually placed some around the splash part. I then grabbed some low-lying flowers and placed them where I thought they fit, and then I did the same thing with the patches of grass. I filled a little bit of the back where the tree is at. It took some time to fill it and blend it in, but I did it. And once that was done, I added some to the other side where the short palm tree and the fish community was. I thought that needed to be a little bit more filled in as well. I think it brings in a lot more color to the lot. I also like how it looks like nature took over. Moving on to the other side, you can see I didn't put as much on this side. I kind of just put enough to cover that purple starfish you see on the side. I'm just placing some outside lighting around the splash part because I forgot to do that. After I'm done with the lighting, I'm finally done with the yard, and then I move back inside for the finishing touches inside. Moving on inside, I start with the walls and the flooring. I'm starting to find that medium to dark tone I was looking for in the beginning. At first, I wanted to make the entire house that medium to dark tone, but then I decided at the last minute to change the hallway to the other wallpaper in Island Living. I also decided to make the entire house wood flooring besides the bathroom. I was going back and forth on whether I wanted a contrast of a light flooring or if I wanted the dark flooring, but I decided to go with the dark flooring anyway. Once I was done with the walls and the flooring, it was finally time to move on to lights. I decided to go with the basic Island Living lights, the ceiling lights. I decided to put island living lights in the dining room, but when I put lights in the kitchen, I thought it was bright enough. So I decided against it. In the bathroom, I put the base game saucer lights, and in the kitchen, I put the base game classic lights. I also forgot a toilet, so I had to put that in real quick. Then I forgot a mirror, so I had to put that in too. I also put in the toilet paper holder, and then I forgot the window, so I put the window in. Then I tried to find a curtain for the window because I didn't want the window to just be opened in the bathroom. I didn't want anything too fancy, I just wanted a little square curtain to put against the window. I tried a bunch of different options, but I just decided on Island Living ones. I tried the longer ones, but the bunched up ones looked better to me, so I chose those. I moved on to looking around the build to see if there's anything else that I forgot, and then I realized I forgot the sink, so I put in the sink. I remember these mounted fish in debug, so I decided to put some around. I decided on a golden mahi mahi for the hallway because I thought it would match nicely. I also got the idea to place them above the bedroom doors. I found a guppy for the kids' bedroom, and then I found a parrotfish that matched the colors of the guppy for the parents' room. At this point, I'm just placing finishing touches on the build. I found this fruit bowl from Island Living that I didn't see before, and I just placed it in the corner. And then I found this pavilion and I placed it outside over the picnic table. While I was placing the pavilion, I noticed the porch looked bare, so I placed a grill so your sim has another option to cook. If you hear anything in the background, I do have a 3-year-old daughter that's always on the move and she loves to vocal stim, so if you do hear anything in the background, that's what that is. I swapped places with the swing set and the picnic table because you couldn't see the swing set over the pavilion. I remember these pictures in debug, they're of sea life, they're from Island Living, they're from a career. I decided to put them above the dining room table where the flower picture was. I made a little collage and then I placed them in other rooms like the bedrooms too. I was gonna place a collage in the master bedroom, but I decided against it and just placed one picture, but in the kids' room, I placed another collage. I don't think there's anywhere else I could put these pictures, but I did remember the sliver of wall at the living room that I didn't put anything on, so I put the leaf picture from the base game on there. At the last minute, I decided to change out the table under the TV because I thought it didn't match anymore, so I just chose another base game table. I redecorated it a little bit by adding the Z-Mart speaker. I thought it would be a good addition to your family vacation for trivia night, and you can also order pizza and everything on there. It's base game, so I honestly think it's a very handy speaker to have even in your regular home. I also put a fruit bowl because I couldn't really think of anything else, and then I placed some flowers and I changed them to white because I thought they looked pretty. After that, I'm just giving the house one last good sweep to see if I forgot anything else because, as you can see, I forgot a lot. Then I go outside, look around, give it one good sweep again, look at it in different lighting to see if I forgot anything. As I was giving it a twirl and looking at it, I noticed that I didn't like the spot between the pathway and the splash park, so I decided to fill it in a little bit more. I wanted to add some lounge chairs. I thought it would be a good idea so your Sims can tan and watch the kids while they're in the splash park, or if they wanted to join them in the splash park and then take a break. I went with the Island Living loungers because they add a pop of color to everything. I then added a beach towel and I put it at an angle, and then I thought I was pretty much done with everything at that point. There was something I still had to change though that I hadn't noticed before. Yeah, I know. It was the wrong name the entire time. I corrected it. Sulani, not Sulani E. Now that I corrected that, I'm finally done with the build and now it's on to the tour. We have my, I guess, signature sim that I made on my birthday, May, and here we are at the build. The only thing left to do is start. Here we are with this kind of split yard, not really split in half. It's kind of uneven. But to start out, here we are at this little corner. It's one of my favorite things. I like the rocks and how the palm trees blend in with it. We also have this little pineapple that I placed that you can plant. It gains you gardening skill. We got the swing set. We got the pavilion with the picnic table under it. Then behind that, we have some greenery with a tree. I don't really know what the tree is called. I forgot. Moving on to the front of the house, the porch. We have this bright red grill. It adds a pop of color. I love pops of color in this vacation home. We also got some plants in the front, kind of hiding the steps to blend in the steps a little bit more. Moving on to my favorite part, which is the splash park. I'm going to unpause it in just a second so you can see all the water and how busy it is. I think it's beautiful. I'm also going to show you with my sim how they play in the water. I think it's so cute. I think ages from toddler up can splash in the park, so adults and elders can splash in the park as well. There she goes up to the mushrooms. She's about to splash. I think it's the cutest little animation ever for all ages. It's very adorable. My sim has the childish trait, so she extra loves this. But just in a second, I think I'm about to make her play in the water, or she's about to do it herself. There she goes. I think it's so cute. They just stomp their little feet in the water. I think she's about to do it again. Yeah, there she goes. It's so cute. I love it. Moving on to the front of the house, we have the starfish community, one of my proudest little sections of the house. I think it's so cute. I think everything is cute in this build. I love pops of color. I love the whole vibe of this build. I think I'm finally done with the outside. It's time to move on to the inside. So I'm going to pause real quick and then we'll move on to the inside. I'm removing the roof and starting in the hallway, we have this little dive-in section along with some tables on the other side. We have that shelf thingy that I got distracted by. We have the little fish decoration hanging up. We have the wall lights. We have the golden mahi mahi hanging on the wall. Here's a look on the hallway. We also get another look at the two fish I hung above the bedrooms. We got a guppy for the kids' room. And then we have a parrotfish for the parents' room. The reason I chose a parrotfish is because I thought the colors matched the guppy really well, so I thought that they would go good together. Moving to the other side, we're moving on to the living room. You have a basic flat screen TV with some flowers, a fruit bowl, and a Z Smart speaker. If we turn the build slightly, we have a trash bin also from Island Living. Turning again, moving on to the kitchen, we have a big, bright, white kitchen. I wanted it white because it makes it feel bigger and it adds a pop of color against all of the wood tones. Moving on to the dining room, I picked the wrong table at first, but we have the right table, and then I put a collage and it looked really nice. Moving on to the kids' room, you have 2 single beds, you have a toddler bed, and I put 2 bear statues. One is a palm tree theme, it's like an island theme, and one is a pirate theme. You also have a toy chest for the toddlers and the kids to play in if they want to play inside if it's storming from the weather from Island Living. There's also a collage on the wall too. I love the variety of ocean life pictures they have. I got these from Debug if you want to use them, by the way. I think my favorite thing in this room is the little bear statue with the palm tree on it. I think it's the cutest little thing ever. This is in the pack Growing Together if you were wondering, by the way. I think that's all in the kids room, so we're moving on to the parents room now, which is also considered the master bedroom. I didn't do too much in this room. I didn't want to do too much in this room because it was a very skinny room to work with, and I just wanted to have the basics pretty much. This crib took me way too long to do. I spent like 30 minutes doing this crib, all because I wanted to add a dresser along with it in this skinny room and it wouldn't work. Anyways, I added a computer, I added a sea turtle picture, and that's pretty much the house. Or vacation home, whatever you want to call it. It's a house either way. I'm giving it a slow turn so y'all can get a 360 of it. After that, I'm giving it a slow backup for dramatic effect. And that's it. That's the vacation home. Thank you so much if you've been watching through this entire video, if you've made it this far. I really appreciate it. This is my first official YouTube video, so thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see y'all next time. Bye, y'all.